And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I'm talking with Scott McCarthy. Scott, thanks for squeezing me into your calendar. First of all, I appreciate that.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for squeezing me in.
You're welcome. You're welcome, man. It's going to be a fun conversation today, folks, because Scott is going to share with us one of my passion areas, one of the four things I'm really good at, but he's bringing another perspective that I think you're going to really love. So Scott's background, he's got a military background. He's up in Canada. He works with business owners and people to really help them understand leadership, how to delegate, how to build teamwork, how to leave a legacy that outlasts yourself. But I'm not going to steal all your thunder, Scott. I tell you what, as we get into this discussion, tell me, how did you get doing what you do today?
That's a heck of a story, which originates in Kandahar, Afghanistan, of all places.
Okay.
I was deployed over there, being a Canadian Army member, and my mission was very different than the standard mission. I was part of a NATO organization, which was called the Operational Mentoring and Liaison Team. And what that boils down to meant I spent 7 months embedded day in, day out with the Afghan National Army members as a mentor and providing guidance and training and coaching and all that stuff to them for 7 straight months.
Oh, wow.
So this could be a podcast episode in its own. I'll do the Coles Notes version.
Yeah.
So I came home and the Army said, "Hey, you did that really well. Let's send you to one of our schools." And that's what they did. So I kind of got not stuck, but kind of thrown into this niche area. And I'm like, I had a passion for leadership. I was developing this, teaching, coaching, mentoring, skill set. I'm just like, let's slam them together. Long story short. And then in the end, Moving Forward Leadership was built along with the podcast and now my own coaching program, mastermind community, all that stuff. So that's a very short version of a long story.
Dude, that's incredible. Okay, so let's dive in, because as business owners, sometimes we get thrust into things as running a business, or we launch ourselves into a business because we're passionate about it. And we might be really, really good at what we do. But leadership's a different animal, and it's not something that's typically taught in college. You have to go find somebody else to teach you. And dude, we're just too busy. And I should just be able to hire people who know what to do. And come on. So let's talk a little bit about leadership as a high level from a business organizational aspect, but the importance of delegation, teamwork, and then how does all that leave a legacy that's beyond you, that's bigger than you? Because I think that's where my audience is just sitting there going, I'd love to know how to lead better. How do you help?
It's all great topics. So let's dive into delegation first, because you mentioned the business owners and heaven forbid, for anyone who's listening that has young children, especially daughters, I apologize ahead. And you'll find out why. But delegation is what I refer to as the force multiplier. So in the military, when we do planning, we bring in these, when we do planning, we have things that we refer to as force multipliers that makes our force stronger than what it normally actually is. So you bring in Apache gunships that has like a factor of like 50, right? Okay. Because all of a sudden it brings all this firepower and capability that your normal force doesn't have. Delegation is the same way. And when you hear delegation, a lot of people get really antsy and scared immediately, especially business owners, right? Because it's their baby. They built it, they developed it, they've grown it. They literally were doing everything from day one. And they get really scared with delegation, but congratulations. You delegate every single day of your life.
Yeah.
You delegate every second of the day of your life, right? So if you go ahead and, the power that is powering our systems right now, our computers, our microphones and webcams and stuff like this, you're actually delegating that. You're paying another company to provide you with that service. You're actually delegating. You're not going out and doing it yourself and generating power and then running a line to your house, right? You're doing it yourself. You go grocery shopping, you're delegating. You asked your kids to take the garbage out. Congratulations. You just delegated that task to your kid. So we just need to look at it a little bit differently. So what we're doing when we delegate, we're enabling others to make decisions and take the responsibility on their own. And now, why is that important to leaders, business owners, and stuff? Because it allows you to focus on your job. You have to understand, as your business grows, Your job is no longer striking the keyboards on doing the social media post, doing up, the latest blog article, doing this, doing that. Your job is actually think strategically, act strategically within the scope of your business. But if you're into the day in, day out aspects of your business, you don't have the time or bandwidth to focus up and out. All right. So, for example, I was coaching a business owner, and he was going into basically a long all day meeting. So, turned off his phone. He said, "I want to focus on the meeting." I'm like, awesome, great. Now, what was going on in the background? His team was putting in a request for proposal with a potential client, and then they got a change of scope. They're like, the client came back saying, "Hey, we need some amendments here, but we need these by the end of the day." His team couldn't get a hold to him.
Yeah.
So guess what happened? You know where the story is going, right? They missed the team couldn't get a hold to him because no one was empowered to make a decision. And in the end, they missed out on that RFP. They missed out on the potential client. They missed out on everything. He was like, and basically what he was saying is like, this shouldn't have happened, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, it wouldn't have if you actually empowered your team members to go ahead. But he's like, but they probably wouldn't have, they wouldn't have set the price right. I'm like, right, but it's something better than nothing. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here we go. Right. And then you use that as a learning opportunity on how to develop better negotiation skills and such. But it's not going to happen if you don't empower your team to go ahead and do it. So now you're left with no client instead.
Absolutely.
Right.
And let me jump in there, because as business owners, we are so focused on building our business, right? That's where our mindset is. And what we're talking about right here is you're building your business through building your people, equipping them, helping them become better, more efficient, so that you can actually do the higher level things. I think business owners many times get too focused on, no, I'm the person. I have to make. No, you don't. Equip your people. You're gonna have a lot more freedom. You're gonna be able to build the teamwork that will actually take you to that next level. Is that what you find?
100%. And this is where my apology comes in. So you actually have to prepare yourself. And what happens is that as business owners, and congratulations, I'm one too, and I'm doing this, I've done this in the past, is your ego is what's getting in your way. You believe you're the only person that understands your business, that can, one that cares about it the most, that can do the best job, so on and so forth. Let it go. And then all of a sudden, like, everyone who's ever watched Frozen is going, no.
We can
you
sing
have
it
to let it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But you have to let it go, because you are actually the one that's holding up your business from expanding and moving forward and getting bigger, because you can only do so much. And guess what? There are better people out there to do marketing. There are better people out there to do social media. There are better people out there to do finance. There are probably even better people out there to do sales for you. Totally. Right? All those different aspects, there are better people out there whose focus is in those individual lanes. So you have to let your ego go, understand that there are better people out there. So the first step in properly delegating is preparing yourself, going, yes, I have to let this go. I have to find the right people, bring them in, and start empowering them to actually take on the work that enables me to start thinking what's next, what's 6 months down the road, what's a year down the road, what's 2 years down the road, how might we expand, what new product lines might we be bringing on, what new clients can we go after, where are the opportunity spaces that are popping up now with the changes in the local situation, world situation, etc. That is where you need to be.
Absolutely. Let it go. That's great. Sing it to you. I always talk to people about the bottlenecks in their business, right? And so many times when we talk about that, they are looking outside at different things, people, processes. And I'm like, yeah, go look in the mirror. Many times that's where the biggest bottleneck is in your business. Exactly. You got to let it go, equip your people, trust them, but train them to trust them, right?
Absolutely. And that's actually my third step in delegation, the training aspect. We've actually jumped over step 2, which I talk about, is preparing your team.
Mm-hmm.
So you find the people, you bring them on, but you got to prepare them. And that's a lot of times is a lot of business owners, they bring them in like, okay, you're a marketing expert, go. Whoa, time out.
Yeah.
Time out. What's the intent? All right. So what in the military, we talk about desired end state a lot. Where do we want to end when we go through an operation, mission, whatever? It's the exact same thing in business. It was like, where do you want to end in the next quarter, the next 6 months, the next year? What is your desired end state? Where are you focusing in on? What's the intent behind it? Because when people understand your intent coupled with your desired end state, that enables autonomy, because now they're in your head. They know what you're after, where you want to go, where you want to take your business. And when they see opportunities, they can go after them. Now, Michael, the immediate pushback you get is, well, what happens if they overstep? What if they end up going down areas where I don't want them to go down? What if this? What if that? Right. So this is where we say arcs of fire. So arcs of fire are basically your limitations. Where can they go? Where can they not go? And I couple this with what I refer to as my critical instant information requirements. Like, okay, if you're going to go, let's say you have a purchaser, someone that's enabled to go out and get new equipment or whatever. If it's going to be more than 10 grand, it's on me. But you define that. You let them know, okay, here's your limitation. If it's going to cost more than that, come up to me, because now I have to actually see what the next level of impacts are going to be. So those are your arcs of fire. And as well, you put in your critical information requirements, where people are feeding you, and then you turn around and then you can provide a little bit of guidance. So you're letting them know, okay, this is the intent. This is where I want to go. Here's how you fit in. This is where this is your space to play in without needing me to be there.
Absolutely.
And if this happens, now come back and let me know, so I can provide either one, make a decision, or two, provide further guidance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of boundaries, right? One of my daughters is 14 right now, and she's studying for a driver's test, and she's like, if I have my driver's license, I could drive you to church. I'm like, yeah, not so much, right? There's a whole process. I've got cars, but you can't just go get them, because there are some critical information requirements here, right? There's some arcs or some boundaries that once you get your license in your practice, have at it. Here are the keys. But there are some things. I love that. The idea and arcs of fire, I thought of shooting a rifle or something, and how far the arc is and all that, because there's a science behind that. But it's equipping your people with dare I say, with a leash long enough they can hang themselves, right? But they know it's like a dog on a leash. This is as far as he can go. But you have the communication aspect of going, okay, this is over my pay grade. What do I do, boss? But here's what I would do if it were in my pay grade. And that builds more teamwork, more leadership. So I love that concept.
All right. So we talked about, the background, dropping ego. We talked about preparing yourself. We talked about preparing your team. Great. Now let's set some conditions for success, right? Because that's what we want, right? We want success. And you brought up the first one, training and development, making sure that they actually happily have continued, have the proper tools in their toolbox and able to do the job that they need to do. Is that an Excel course? Or is that, customer management? It was just that, the other thing, it is what it is. The thing that what I really really stress is that when we're looking at people and hiring people, we always list like qualifications required, qualifications desired. Time out. Like, who cares?
Amen.
Who cares about qualifications? What we're looking for, what real leaders are looking for, is the character traits.
Thank you.
That come with the person. Are you dependable? Do you have drive? Do you have initiative? These are things you can't train. You can train a monkey to use Excel, especially this day and age, 365. It's so simple, right? But you can't train someone to be dependable, to show up on time, show up early every day, right? That is an inherent trait, right? To be trustworthy, honest, so on and so forth. So you look for those qualities in the person, and then you set up the training development to match the skill sets, the delta, i.e. what they're lacking in their skill sets, to the job which you need them to do. Now, setting conditions for success also means you have to continue to support them and let them have access to you. It can't be a one and done. You can't fire and forget this type of the delegation. They have to have the ability to come back to you and go, hey, you gave me this project. I'm here. Here are my ideas, and start bouncing ideas off of you in a non-judgmental environment. right? And that's a lot of
Absolutely.
times people are scared because they feel like they come into their supervisor like, I'm not too sure which way to go. We have this option, that option, and this other option. And they feel like when they do this in front of their supervisor, that their supervisor could be judging them, their performance abilities. Well, how many times, like, I can't go to a gas station with which one am I going to? Check Google. Who's got the lowest price right now, right? Gas buddy or whatever. Like, enable people to come in a non-judgmental space, have access to you, to sometimes even just talk out loud,
Right. Right.
right? And then provide them with a little bit extra guidance, a little bit of support. And
Yeah.
then finally, the final thing about setting conditions for success is what we refer to as having their six or having their back. And that means supporting them in the decisions that they have made. So if you said, hey, just like you said earlier, the boundaries are the box. And I say to you, this is your box, go play in your box. If you're in your box, you make decisions, that's your decision space. But if suddenly you start making decisions, and I don't necessarily 100% agree with, and I start coming in and like, why did you do it that way?
Yeah.
Why didn't you do this? Why did you do that? How come we didn't do this? How come we didn't do that? Suddenly your box isn't your box anymore.
That's right. That's right.
Right. And you're no longer empowered to make decisions and actually go. So you have to support them. Now, does that mean you can't provide a little bit extra guidance, mentorship? Yes, you can. Like, hey, you know what? You made this decision. Here are the secondary, tertiary effects of that decision. Here's some consequences. We'll deal with it. Not a big deal. But when you go down this road again, here are some things that you may want to consider. Or what was your thought process? Having those conversations with them and enabling them to learn from their box so that when they go and they're faced with a very similar situation, they now have the increased skill set go down the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And we couch that many times in communication, but really is leadership. It takes a mindset of the leader to say, I'm training, I'm equipping, I'm mentoring, and that person is going to get better the more I do that. So good. Non-judgmental environment.
All right. So we're still not done. We're still not done. So there's two more steps.
Okay.
Two more steps. They're quick. All right. Next step is follow up and move forward. So following up means if especially in like a project sense, there's this project, go take care of it. But at the same time, it could be small things, right? And following up is just scheduling, progress updates, coming back to me. Okay, where we're at, where are we? What have you done? Okay, cool. And it's not so that that non-judgmental space, but rather so that you can have an understanding where it is, where the person is going, the direction, making sure, back to the beginning, they're aligned with what your intent and desired end state, right? Because if a plane takes off from New York City and is destined for London, England, and the pilot decides, 6 hours into the 7-hour flight to check their flight path and realize, we're headed to Italy, it takes a lot more to get the plane back.
Yeah, we're gonna
right.
be late.
But if the pilot is consistently checking his flight path, he's going to make minor corrections along the way. So the follow up and having that scheduled is crucial and key. And you can do that. Do you have to do that daily? Maybe.
Yeah.
Weekly? Maybe. It just depends on the scope of the situation and how fast things move and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then finally, it's about fostering. So again, enabling them to discuss, enabling the team to have an understanding what's going on, so that in the event of something happens and the person needs a little bit extra support, it can be added on relatively quickly. So that's following up and moving forward.
Wow. There is obviously you've done this. Obviously,
once or twice.
And the cool thing is, though, you've got a process, and you can take a business owner wherever they are and help them move to that next level. So that's one thing that I really appreciate about how you've articulated this. And it's not just high level. Here are some things. You kind of go down to the depths, which I really appreciate. It's not let's go take that hill. It's let's go take that hill. And by the way, here's the artillery you need. Here's the manpower. Here's the encouragement. Here's how it's like, wow. So it's really, really important. And I talk about it a lot. I don't train or teach on leadership. That's why I love having you here as a resource for my audience. because everything you're talking about is so critical to growing a business. I talked with a lot of people who tell me they're business owners, and they're not. They have a high paying job because they haven't learned the art of leadership, delegation, communication, train. They haven't learned all of this stuff. They don't know where to go. I think a great place to go and learn about leadership is connecting with Scott McCarthy, because he has simply scratched the surface of what he's taught, what he's learned, what he's lived, and what he's trained, and how he can help you grow your business, and it applies it to life as well. So Scott, how do people connect with you? How do they find out more? Because I know you've intrigued some people. Where do they go to find you, find more information, connect with you, see how you can help them?
Yeah, for sure. I would like to just finish the final step of delegation, and
I
then
thought
I'll
we
tell
got
you
there. I'm
exactly.
sorry. Yes,
No.
absolutely.
There's one last thing, and actually, this is where the rubber meets the road from a business standpoint. So again, we've gone through it all. So let's run on the assumption whatever task or project you've delegated is now done. It is now time to celebrate and learn.
Right.
You celebrate the win. You celebrate the success. It could be big, it could be small, but you celebrate. Maybe it's the biggest client you've ever landed. Boom, you celebrate it. But you go back and you learn. And this is what we refer to as our after action review. And you ask yourself 3 questions. The team, what did we do right? So you learn the right things. What did we do wrong? You learn the things that you messed up. And then how might we improve it for the future? And that 3rd question is the critical one, because that is actually what you're going to turn around and implement as a lesson learned so that you don't make the same mistake again. So a quick little story. I was running an operations cell for our school that I had mentioned. So we were in charge of coordinating the entire training, all the training courses for the entire school. We're talking something like over 300 courses a year with 4,000 students is massive. And one of my guys made a mistake, relatively large mistake. Okay. But we fixed it. And then in the end, I had a small cell, 6 of us, and I brought everybody in. And I said, all right. And then, everyone knew the mistake was made and what had action. All right, let's go through. And in a, again, non-judgmental, but rather learning environment, we went through what we refer to as the AAR. We went through it. We were like, okay, what went right here? Not much. Okay, that's fine. It was brought up. It was found. That's a positive point. We found it before permanent damage was done.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good to go. All right. These are the things that went wrong. Check, 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 check. Right. And it's like, all right, so how might we fix this in the future? Okay. I wasn't properly trained on how to actually do this task. Oh, okay, write that down. I wasn't, didn't go through actual, there were times when I didn't have supervision. Okay, write that down. Okay, I should have spoke up. Yeah, okay, there we go. That one's on you. Right, but we went through this whole list, and we like, okay, now how we're going to ensure the rest of you learn from this situation. And in the end, it boils down to this. Something I talk about in my podcast all the time. Your people are the reason for the win, and you're the reason for the failure. Because as a leader, it's always our fault. We have to make sure we provide our people with everything: guidance, direction, proper motivation, proper training, back briefs, et cetera, et cetera. Keep going, keep going. I don't know a person, I've never found a person yet today who's woken up this morning and go, I'm going to show up to work today and mess everything up.
That's right. That's right. Let's hope we don't have him.
Right. So that's the end of the day. It's all on you.
Yeah.
You're the reason for the failure. They're the reason for the wins. So celebrate the wins, learn from the failures, drive the business forward.
I love that, man. There's a whole podcast right there. That was good. That celebrate the win, because we forget to do that. We're so busy
100%.
driving for the next thing, the next goal, the next quarter. No, pause. So it doesn't mean it takes 5 days. It might take 30 minutes. It might take an hour. Celebrate. You'll empower your team. Wow, that was good. That was worth the price of admission today. I'm telling you. No, that was really good. I appreciate it. All right. We've covered a ton of territory. I know you've got a ton more. How do people find you to learn more about leadership, more about taking their own lives, the lives of those around them, to the next level so they can keep moving forward?
Yeah, for sure. So quick 3 resources for you, easy links. First off, website houses everything, and that is leaddon'tboss.com. And that's the tagline. Excuse me. We're here all about developing leaders and what I refer to as not bosses. And by boss, I mean that horrible individual that so many of us have nightmares about, probably still to this day.
Right.
Okay, so leaddon'tboss.com. Second thing, podcast. It's called Peak Performance Leadership. Don't bother searching it. Instead, go to leaddon'tboss.com/subscribe. And then I'll bring you to a landing page where you can one click and then subscribe to the podcast. And then the second thing, Michael, if you're interested in really growing, expanding, developing yourself as a leader, I do have a mastermind community. It's called the Leader Growth Mastermind, where we get together, we have these conversations, I provide content, I provide coaching, so on and so forth. So you can check that out at leaddon'tboss.com/mastermind.
Excellent. I'm going to capture those, make sure those are in the show notes area. So if you're exercising, you're driving your car, this has intrigued you, just go to the show notes. You'll get those links. You'll be able to learn more about leadership and connect with Scott and see how he can help you grow as a leader to make a greater impact in your life, in the life of your team. Delegate effectively, take your business to the next level and keep it moving forward, because that's really what we all want. Scott, this has been fantastic. I appreciate you and the depth of understanding you have around leadership and your ability to communicate it succinctly. That's a rare skill. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You are welcome. I'm so glad that you were a guest on Expert and reach out to Scott again at leaddon'tboss.com is the primary website. You can find everything there. I'll put the rest of it in the show notes, and listen again for another great episode of Expert Speak.